The atmosphere surrounding Zhang Ling has suddenly taken on a far more serious tone, as a shocking rumor that had been circulating through online spaces is now being described in connection with legal action, transforming what once seemed like another wave of entertainment gossip into a story with potentially much greater consequences. For fans who had watched the speculation spread from one conversation to another, the idea that such claims could actually reach a courtroom changes the entire emotional landscape. What began as whispers, fragments, interpretations, and increasingly intense discussions now appears to have crossed a boundary where words may have consequences beyond social media reactions. And at the center of that storm is Zhang Ling, an actor whose public image has often been surrounded by enormous attention, admiration, curiosity, and, at times, relentless speculation. The emotional intensity surrounding this development comes not simply from the rumor itself, but from the possibility that a situation once controlled by online discussion could now be examined through a formal legal process, where evidence, responsibility, and truth matter far more than viral posts or emotional assumptions. That possibility alone has left many observers wondering what actually happened behind the scenes, what prompted the escalation, and why the situation has reached such a serious point. For days, weeks, or perhaps even longer, rumors can take on a strange life of their own once they enter the internet. A single claim can be repeated so many times that people begin confusing repetition with confirmation, while screenshots, edited clips, anonymous comments, and interpretations can create an illusion of certainty even when the original information remains unclear. In the world of entertainment, where millions of people follow every appearance, every interaction, every expression, and every unexpected moment, that problem can become even more complicated. Zhang Ling occupies a position where even an ordinary moment can become the subject of intense discussion, and when a controversial rumor appears, the reaction can grow rapidly. Supporters may rush to defend him, skeptics may demand answers, and casual observers may simply watch the chaos unfold without knowing which pieces of information are reliable. But the suggestion that the matter has now entered a legal arena introduces an entirely different level of seriousness. A courtroom is not a comment section. It is not a live stream chat. It is not a fan discussion. It is a place where claims can be challenged, evidence can be examined, and responsibility can potentially be determined according to applicable law. That is why the emotional reaction surrounding this story feels so different. The central question is no longer simply whether fans believe a rumor. The deeper question becomes what happens when an allegation has consequences serious enough to prompt legal proceedings. If the claims being discussed are inaccurate or defamatory, the damage caused by their circulation may itself become an important issue. If there are genuine disputes behind the controversy, those disputes may need to be examined carefully rather than decided through online speculation. And if important facts remain unknown, the responsible response is not to fill those gaps with imagination. It is to recognize the uncertainty and wait for verified information. Yet that restraint can be extremely difficult in an environment where dramatic headlines spread faster than careful explanations. Every new post can create another wave of emotion. Every alleged update can trigger another round of debate. Every silence can be interpreted in a dozen different ways. In such an atmosphere, the truth can become buried beneath the noise, which may be precisely why legal action carries such emotional significance for people following the story. Imagine the pressure of watching your name become attached to a claim that you believe is deeply unfair, while thousands or even millions of strangers discuss it as though they were personally present when the alleged events occurred. That kind of public attention can create an extraordinary emotional burden, particularly for a young actor whose career depends not only on performances but also on public trust. Yet it is important not to turn speculation about Zhang Linghe's private emotions into established fact. Unless he has publicly described exactly what he feels, no outsider can know the precise emotions behind every reported reaction. What can be understood as the broader reality of celebrity life: public figures are often judged instantly, while corrections may take much longer to spread. A rumor can travel around the world within minutes, while a clarification may struggle to receive the same attention. That imbalance is one reason controversies involving public figures can become so intense. For Zhang Linghe's supporters, the possibility of legal action may therefore feel like a turning point. Instead of endlessly arguing over screenshots and comments, they may see the courtroom as a place where the situation can move away from speculation and toward evidence. At the same time, responsible observers must remember that legal action does not automatically mean that every allegation has been proven true or false. A lawsuit, complaint, legal notice, or court proceeding is not itself a final judgment. The actual outcome depends on the specific circumstances, applicable law, evidence, and decisions made by the relevant authorities or court. That distinction matters enormously because entertainment rumors often become distorted when procedural developments are presented as definitive proof. The safest way to understand a developing controversy is to separate what has been officially confirmed from what is merely being discussed online. And yet, even with that caution, the emotional weight of the moment cannot be ignored. There is something unsettling about watching a rumor travel from a phone screen into a legal setting. The distance between those two worlds is enormous. Online, people can type a sentence and move on. In legal proceedings, statements may have consequences. Online, someone can repost an accusation without thinking about the person named in it. In a legal context, questions about evidence, credibility, intent, and harm become much more important. That contrast explains why this story has captured so much attention. It represents a collision between the speed of internet culture and the slower, more deliberate mechanisms of formal accountability. The controversy also raises a broader question about the price of fame. Zhang Linghe's growing visibility means that his professional achievements can receive extraordinary praise, but the same visibility can magnify controversy. The larger the audience becomes, the more difficult it can be for a public figure to control the narrative surrounding them. Fans may interpret one expression as meaningful, another as defensive, and another as mysterious, even when the person involved may simply be behaving normally. In this environment, the boundary between genuine information and imagined meaning can become dangerously thin. A celebrity can become the protagonist of a story they never wrote, while strangers debate motives that may never have existed. That is where the reported legal development becomes especially significant. If a specific rumor has genuinely reached court, then the focus should gradually move away from dramatic interpretations and toward what can actually be established. What exactly is alleged? What evidence exists? What has been officially filed? Who has made verified statements? What does the relevant legal process involve? Has a court actually issued a judgment, or is the matter still at an earlier procedural stage? These questions may not be as emotionally explosive as a sensational headline, but they are far more important when trying to understand what is really happening. For fans who have spent hours defending Zhang Linghe online, this shift may feel both relieving and frightening. Relieving because they may believe the truth can eventually be clarified through a formal process. Frightening because legal disputes can be complicated, lengthy, and emotionally exhausting. The internet often demands immediate answers, while real legal procedures rarely operate at internet speed. There can be waiting, documentation, hearings, statements, and decisions that take time. During that period, speculation may continue. New rumors may appear, old claims may resurface. People may attempt to interpret every development before the official process has reached a conclusion. That is why patience becomes so important. There is also another emotional dimension that cannot be overlooked: the effect such controversies can have on the people who follow an actor closely. Fans often build emotional connections with performers through their characters, interviews, performances, and public appearances. When something threatens the image they have formed of a beloved celebrity, the reaction can become deeply personal. Some may feel angry, others may feel disappointed, some may immediately defend their favorite actor, while others may step back and wait for evidence. None of those emotional reactions, however, should replace verified information. Supporting someone does not require believing every rumor about them, just as questioning a story does not automatically mean attacking the person involved. The most compelling part of this developing situation may therefore be the uncertainty itself. What exactly triggered the legal escalation? Was there a particular allegation that crossed a line? Was something published or circulated that prompted a response? Did an online narrative grow so large that legal intervention became necessary? Or is the phrase taken to court being used more loosely than the headline suggests? Without verified details, these questions remain unanswered. And that uncertainty is precisely what makes the story so difficult to understand from a distance. A dramatic headline can tell us that something serious is being discussed, but it cannot by itself provide the evidence needed to establish what actually occurred. As the controversy continues to attract attention, every new piece of information may be examined under a microscope. A statement could trigger another wave of discussion. A legal update could change how people understand the situation. Silence could create even more speculation. But perhaps the most important development will not be the loudest one. It may be a carefully worded official document, a verified statement, or a formal decision that cuts through the noise and establishes what can actually be supported. Until such information becomes available, the emotional intensity should not be mistaken for certainty. For Zhang Linghe, whatever the precise circumstances may be, the situation highlights the extraordinary pressure attached to public life. An actor can spend years building a career through performances, discipline, and dedication, only to find that a few words circulating online can dominate public conversation. That imbalance can feel profoundly unfair when accusations are presented without context or evidence. At the same time, the legal process exists precisely because serious disputes require more than emotional reactions. It offers a framework in which competing claims can be examined rather than settled by whichever side has the loudest online following. And perhaps that is why this story has become so emotionally charged. Beneath the sensational language, beneath the angry reactions, beneath the countless theories and arguments, there is a much more human question. What happens when a person's public reputation becomes the battlefield for a controversy that they may not be able to control? The answer cannot be determined by hashtags alone. It cannot be decided by viral comments. It cannot be established simply because thousands of people repeat the same version of events. The truth requires evidence. For everyone watching this unfold, the most meaningful moment may come when the uncertainty begins to disappear. If official information confirms what happened, the conversation can move toward facts. If claims are disproven, the consequences of spreading them may become an important part of the story. If the matter remains unresolved, then the public conversation must recognize that uncertainty rather than pretending it has already been settled. Either way, the legal dimension means that this is no longer merely another piece of celebrity gossip to consume and forget. The storm surrounding Zhang Linghe may continue to grow before it becomes quieter. That is often the strange nature of controversy. The loudest moment can arrive long before the clearest answer. But while social media races ahead, the truth may be moving at a much slower pace. And when the stakes involve reputation, careers, and legal responsibility, slowing down may be exactly what is needed. What began as a shocking rumor has therefore become a much bigger question about responsibility, evidence, and the consequences of words in the digital age. Zhang Linghe's name may be at the center of the conversation, but the larger issue reaches far beyond one celebrity. It concerns how quickly people believe information, how easily speculation becomes accepted as fact, and how difficult it can be to repair damage once a story has spread. If the reported legal proceedings are genuine, they could become a decisive chapter in determining how this particular controversy is handled. But until the relevant facts are officially established, the most responsible approach is to resist turning allegations into certainty. The internet may demand a dramatic answer immediately, but real truth does not always arrive on command. Sometimes it emerges slowly, through documents, evidence, statements, and careful examination. Sometimes the story people thought they understood changes completely when verified facts appear. And sometimes the most important thing a person can do is simply refuse to add another unverified claim to an already overwhelming storm. That may be difficult when emotions are running high, especially when fans feel protective of someone they admire, but it is precisely during moments like this that accuracy matters most. The question now hanging over the entire controversy is not merely whether Zhang Linghe is angry, nor whether the rumor has generated outrage. The deeper question is what the legal process will establish, if there is indeed a formal case before a court, and whether the evidence ultimately supports or contradicts the narratives that have dominated online discussion. Until that answer arrives through reliable sources, the story remains unfinished. And perhaps that unfinished uncertainty is what makes this moment so intense. Millions may already have formed opinions, but the definitive facts may still be emerging. As the noise continues, one thing remains clear. A rumor can be created in seconds, but the consequences can last much longer. A headline can ignite outrage instantly, but restoring clarity can take time. And when a controversy reaches the legal sphere, every assumption becomes more consequential. Whatever happens next, the story should be followed through verified developments rather than speculation, because the difference between what people believe and what can actually be proven may ultimately become the most important part of the entire case.